second when you sit alone and pray at the end of every day? Have you really been a friend to him? Have you bravely faced the task, done the things he kindly asked? Have you really been a friend to him? Have you really been a friend to Jesus? Do you falter when the pathway is thin? Have you really stood the test? Have you really done your best? Have you really been a friend to him? Let's sing the last now. Are you walking with the Lord according to His word? Have you really been a friend to Him? Have you tried and tried again for some precious souls to win? Have you really been a friend to Him?
numbers you gonna?
Number 476, appointed date out of the week. Number 476.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer before we have this. Brother Aldrich, would you lead us in prayer?
Lord, we come to you, thank you for another opportunity to be with us. Thank you for the meeting, blessing of God, Father God. Yes, you will do this, stand in our place. You do it yourself in your word, Lord. Thank you for what you have for us. Do it all your truth, your churches everywhere this night. Yes, you be the lost, Lord. Just get things, just be the very night they trust you. Let them see wherever in where you go, see past. Help us not to be that. Yes, that we need to pray for us, Lord, and we want to stand in the will. Stand with the soft love. We will be adding grace and strength. We are going to do the prayer, Lord. Our first responders, Lord, you know what they face every day. Keep your hand up. As you do, do us with your prayer. Continue to watch us. We stand and pray.
Sing the first. Page number 270.
Your last song.
I'll give you the opportunity to stand on this one.
Brother Garrett, lead us in prayer, would you? Amen. We're certainly thankful to see each of you here tonight. We might be few in number, but we certainly appreciate those of you that have saw fit to come out tonight. And I trust even we can leave here saying it's been a good place to be. We'll look at just a very simple thought with us tonight. A word really, I trust can be maybe something that can encourage our hearts tonight. In verse 36 of Matthew 24, verse 36 of Matthew 24 is where we're going to begin tonight. And I know when you think about this passage that this is kind of a dark time. It is, but there's a statement that's made that is very needful for you and I today. And that word, at least thought would be to watch. You know, when we studied this past Sunday morning our Sunday school lesson on shepherd, and you know, one of the things that a shepherd is to do is to always be watchful, on guard, on look. And you know, if that shepherd were to fall asleep, what would happen is the predators could come in and could wipe out the whole flock, and he could sleep right through it if he wasn't attentive or watching. And there's a lot of things that could happen that even while that maybe we're asleep. And so looking at this here tonight, I want to just maybe start in verse 36 and think of this. He said, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah came or entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left." Listen to verse 42. "Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." You know, when you think about this, that I thought about, even as he would mention, that even how it would be in the days of Noah. And I know we looked at maybe the things the other day, maybe with us regarding some things about the ark and the condition of the people around. That the Bible says that even their thoughts or imaginations were only evil continually, and they were just living life. It just seemed like every man for himself. I don't know about you today, but when we look around and we see the condition of the world, we just about see that today, don't we? It's every man for himself. I go back a lot of times, but you know the last verse of the book of Judges, and every man did that which was right in his own eyes. It almost seems as if it's that way today, the mindset. It's not what's right and wrong according to the Word of God, it's by my standards. And there's a word for that, or at least a thought that would be a relative truth. It's only relative to what I think or feel at the time. And you know, when you think about in the days of Noah, and he goes on and he talks about how that they were eating and drinking, married and giving in marriage, that they were living life and they were just going on as they pleased and doing the things that they were going to do and failing to take heed to the things around them and even the warning that was being given. And it wasn't until the day that the flood came that they were all taken up or taken away and they were consumed. And you know, he goes on and he talks about how, but know this, or in verse 42, he said, watch therefore, be watchful, to stop and look around, to behold. You know, when you think about watching, I want to use maybe just a quick illustration. Several years ago, many years ago, time gets by in a hurry. My mother was on her way to school one morning and driving a big old bus, and there was two young ladies sitting in a car at a stop sign. And the bus was coming this way, and the driver of the car, they were sisters, and she was looking to the left, and her sister was to look to the right. And Brother Lynn, she said, it's clear my way. She said, it's clear mine. And she pressed the gas and broadsided that big yellow school bus right into the back wheel. And I'll never forget my mother, when she got off that bus that morning, she said, girls, were y'all not watching? She said, we were both looking, but we were looking the other directions. We didn't look in front of us. And she said, go, so I went. And I thought about that. They were looking, but they really wasn't watching, were they? And how easily that, you know, we can be looking around and really just not be watching for what's right at hand. We can miss just the most obvious. And he said, watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this. And he gives an illustration that if the goodman of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, if he'd have known what hour of the night, or maybe just what time that the thief would come, he wouldn't have allowed or permitted his house to be, the Bible just says, broken up. He wouldn't allow the thief to come in and maybe wreak havoc or take. But, you know, not knowing what hour that apparently this goodman of the house, not knowing what hour that the thief would come, it almost sounds as if he wasn't really ready or prepared. He was slumbering and sleeping at a time. And if he'd have known this time, he could have been watching. And you know, the reality is, I know when we're asleep that we do things that we can to make provisions for our safety and our family. But there's also that time, listen, there's a time to be aware, sober, very much alert to the things going on around about us. He said, therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. That hour, that time that we would think not, this isn't, you know, it's not going to be today. Peter warned about even those that would mock and say, you know, all things continue as they were. It just, listen, it's just like it was back in maybe our ancestors' day. And you could take that to whatever generation that you'd want, but I know I can think about times in my own family. I remember it being a conversation pretty regular about the Lord coming. I remember many times that even it being discussed with me, you need to be ready. And you know something? If I were reminded to, I could say, you know, and they've come and gone. Brother Narson, I'm still here, and look at what age I'm at, and he still hadn't come. But it doesn't change the reality. Brother Johnny, I'm still looking for him in my day. Paul did. And how much more should I? Listen, if Paul was looking for him in his time, and he had just gone away, and he was looking for his return, how much more should we today as we see things around us? And it's not about sign seeking. It's about looking around and at the reality of things that are happening. But the attitude is, as a general consensus is, it's not going to happen. And he said that therefore be also ready. Watch. To be ready is, listen, it's more than just, well, I'm ready. No, there's preparations have been made. And living in such that if it happened right now, it wouldn't surprise. If it happened right now that Jesus would come back before we dismiss in just a few minutes, it wouldn't catch us off guard because we've been watching. We've been looking. We've been consciously aware of the fact that this could be the time. Who then is a faithful and wise servant? And he goes on and talks about how that his faithful and wise servant, the Lord would make him ruler of his house and household, to give him the meat in due season. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. The things that he's giving to do, that he's being faithful in it. He's been diligent in it. He's put into use the things that's been left. He's taken care. And listen, and he's diligent. With the expectation that any moment the Lord could come back. You ever been given a to-do list? These are things to be done before I return. I'm going to set them over here. I'll get to them after a while. And you know what? I don't know about you. Have you ever lost track of time? You ever got there? Just kind of got tied up and you lose track of what time it is. And Brother Gerald, and then all of a sudden, all of that time that we had to be making ready is now down to just a very short window. And what would have taken a good while, we try to hurry up and cram in just a few minutes of time because we just sat it over here. But a wise and faithful servant is one that says, you know what? Let's go ahead and take care of it now, and we'll be done. And then he goes on and he talks about, but and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming. Oh, it's going to be after a while sometime. I won't have to worry about it right now because he's not going to be back. I still got a little while to do this. And he begins to smite his fellow servants. He begins to eat and drink with the drunken. He just begins to revel and party and maybe just kind of do his thing. And you know something? Before you know it, hours have turned into a day, and day has turned into now days and weeks. And time's gone by, and we've lost track. And somewhere in the shuffle, the things that we've been left to take care of have kind of got pushed under. They've been buried. And you know what? We quit watching. We quit expecting. And then there comes this window treatments change over the years, but Y'all remember peeking through the blinds? Who is it? And I'll remind us of something. When the Lord comes back, there's not going to be a time to peek through the blinds. I made a house call one time to a place for some business things, and the man and lady was trying to avoid answering the door. Circumstances there I won't get into, and there was continual knocking on the door. They thought they were whispering. Brother Dwayne, they were being as loud as they could inside, and with a muffled voice, "Shh, don't open the door." And I stood at the door and I said, I can hear you. Listen. Y'all, when the Lord comes, it's going to happen so swiftly and so quickly. It's going to be too late to try to watch and look, because it already happened. The time to be watchful, the time to be at work, the time to be doing is now. The time to be looking around and truly diligently watching is now. Because when the trump sounds, we're already gone. We're out of here. And we can't say then, wait a minute, let me go tend to the things I need to tend to. You remember the parable of the virgins? Listen, when there was a knock at the door, five were not ready. Oh, how sad. Sinner, listen to me. Don't let that time catch you unprepared. Don't let that moment catch you unexpecting. Make ready now and trust Jesus today. Don't wait to see what happens afterwards. You better go ahead and take care of things today before it happens. For us that are saved tonight, to be diligently watching, expecting. This could very well be the day. This could be the night. And it might very well be before the sun comes up in the morning. We're going home. Are we expecting that? Have we lived today? Have I lived today? I'll make it just as personal as I can. Have I lived today expecting and truly being diligently watching? This could very well be the last day that I have. Oh, listen. Watching. Let's don't get caught up. We live each day, and listen, it happens. My mother made a statement many years ago. I didn't understand it at the time. I was still young, but Brother Ralph, she made a statement years ago. She said, I know there's still 24 hours in a day, but it seems like the Lord has sped up His time clock. I was still at the age in life where it felt like it had slowed way down, Because there were certain days of the year you look forward to, and they just would never come. And from the time your feet hit the floor in the morning to the time you pick them up and lay them in the bed at night, it seems like just a couple of minutes. And I want to remind us of something. With each passing day, with each passing moment, the reality is He's still coming. May I plead with us tonight, starting with me and with you, let's be watching. Watching. Watch and pray. That's what Jesus told His disciples. Listen, stay, watch and pray. And you know what happened when He come back? He found them sleeping. Could you not watch and wait and pray? Listen, wake up. And He went again. And after the third time, He said, sleep on. Listen, the hour's here. Sleep on. I'm going to be awake now. No, a while ago was time to watch and pray. They're already here now. Let's don't wait and let the opportunity pass us. But while we still have the time, let's be busy doing the will and work of the Father. You pray for me tonight. Church, let me encourage us. Let's be found faithful, doing the work of the Lord when He returns. There's still a great work to do. And unfortunately, the time is short. So let's be busy. You pray for me tonight while we do for you. Brother Herschel, lead us to verse of song.
Number 46 in the red book. Number 46.